And I'm not even being dramatic. We're getting the shit kicked out of us, and we're just blindly continuing our life.
Accepting it.
And why the hell are we not asking these questions?
We are literally becoming percentage-wise different human beings based on these PFAS.
Why are we spraying toxic compounds, knowingly toxic compounds on the food that we eat? You're sprinting towards your own demise. This is Darin Olien, and welcome to Ever Forward Radio.
The one big question I had out of the gate, just getting to know you more over the years, but especially after reading Fatal Conveniences, is there's a lot in there. We're going to get into it, but I'm curious, after writing this book and now kind of sharing it with the world, in your opinion, what is the biggest lie we are being told right now as a public as to, hey, this is something we're doing for your benefit, but is actually having rippling, cascading negative effects for this generation and future?
Yeah. You could literally open that book and almost every one of them. And so I'll answer it. But I also want to say that the cumulative body burden, the so much exposure added up over time. There's not one kind of, bullet here. Mm-hmm. It's multiple. It's from everywhere, and it's all the time. And some of those things that even Dr. Swan talked about is like your body's able to metabolize parabens and phthalates and stuff like that. But the problem is you're getting reinfected throughout the day, depending on what you're eating, what you're drinking.
It's like one step forward, two steps back.
Yeah. And so you're never out of it, right? I have to say that because it's, I would never say this is the biggest one out of anything, because they're all, PFAS is definitely way up there because it's just a forever chemical.
What had you just like put the pen down, walk away? Like, I cannot believe this shit that I just discovered.
So many times, I'm telling you. I think the EMF world and the telecommunication, there's so much that I didn't put in the book.
We're good. I brought in some Vedic over here. So
great.
The studio's covered.
Great. I see that. Yeah. Well, fantastic.
My green
and you
glass.
get that phone off too by your nuts, right?
It is.
Right?
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. That freaks me out. I see that. I'm like,
we all need a Darin to make sure your nuts are covered.
You're radiating your nuts right now.
It's
if that's not off. Yeah. So
shit, no, it's on. Do not disturb.
So
airplane. My bad.
So
good looks.
So your testosterone has went down in the last 20 minutes. I'm sorry.
I got to go do some push-ups and build it back up.
Mine's gone up. Yours has gone down.
This is the podcast where we give you more tea.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. TRT in between sessions. So that I would say that the cancer phone, right? The phone, the kick the can down the road, the overwhelming evidence from animal studies, even seeing what happens in children and brain studies, and so there's a bunch of reasons why that I'll unpack in the EMF side of things, and the phone thing, and the Wi-Fi, and the smart devices, and God forbid we ever have a smart city. Those are reasons that would drive me absolutely unbelievably crazy. I think that that would be the dumbest thing.
I was going to say a smart city.
I would say
actuality.
Sovereign cities, which are sovereign villages, which are microgrids, which are freedom loving dwellings. Right? Let's do that instead, and we have the ability to do that and let people live their life. Right?
Cheers,
brother. But the history of the electrification of our world freaked my shit out, bro. Like,
why?
Because I can't get into all of it, but
when learning how the sausage was made, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, when they first put up the first telegraph, going all the way back, right? They started to see, so when you have a wire, it has a frequency and it has an electromagnetic field. Two very important distinguished things to understand around electricity. and those things mess up, especially the electromagnetic field. It messes up migratory patterns, and there was a one
of like birds and animals.
Birds, yeah. There's enough evidence that they believed it killed off a unique sparrow. I think it was a red sparrow.
Wow.
And then they started to see the changes and the stress response in all mammals. And this was the telegraph. And so, of course, then we lit up the whole place.
No, that's a wired connection. We're not even into wireless.
We're not even into wireless,
wow.
right? And then even the early in the mid 1900s, when they were setting up schools, and they were just throwing up schools, and then the connections between towers, again, just electrification, towers and not well grounded or covered wires was connected to children's leukemia, right?
Oh, shit.
So those and there was a study done where tenured teachers that were there, and the 80% of them had different forms of cancer.
80%.
Yeah, and then so
connected to these wires.
Yeah, and then these building biologists started to unpack and realize that these things are not grounded properly, they're not covered properly, and this is just an electromagnetic field of.
There's such thing as a building biologist?
Oh yeah.
That's fascinating.
It is, and it is growing, bro.
A biologist looking at
the
inanimate objects as animate objects?
You could go in.
Capacity of
you
it?
can go in with meters, sensitive meters.
Wow.
And I had August Bryce over, she owns a company called Tech Wellness, who I discovered in writing the book. And she was an electrosensitive human. And there's about 17% of the population is growing in electrosensitivity in terms of being disabled, right? Disabling electrosensitivity.
So we're not talking sensitivity. We're talking inducing disability in humans.
Yeah. Wow. Similar to my father in chemical sensitivities, right? And so August, as a result of that, and there's another story from a German guy, Hagen, these two people I met along the way, and August was over. We recorded a podcast. Her and her family came over to the house in the yurt, and she brought her meters, and she was like, "Number one, this is an amazing place to live."
Yeah. Did the numbers? What are the numbers?
Yeah,
say?
I had my Wi-Fi on, but I also she has devices where you can plug back in, and your connections are even better.
Wow.
And so you can get Wi-Fi routers that don't emit, and you just plug back in. So that's what I'm doing on my new house. Everything's plugged back in because you're really only in the same area. It's not like you're walking around in your kitchen. I'm not. You have your certain areas. So she came in with her meter, and we flipped the Wi-Fi off, which I do every night, right? And it dropped to nothing.
Wow.
She goes, I don't remember ever seeing a place where there was nothing. It was like green and not making us peep.
Talk about setting the standard, man. Props to you. Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's part of just, following my own bliss of like, I need to be away from way too many people. I need to be out of cities, and I need to be in the nature. And so I manifested the place, and I'm rebuilding after the fire, but it's a clean slate. So I get to build and be a building biologist from the beginning, and build a healthy home, and build it in a way that can amplify, pun intended, a better way of living. And so anyway, to answer your question, the history of EMFs and the telecommunications history of knowledge that these invisible waves and frequency devices were harmful. Without a doubt. I scoured, I found copies, PDF copies of faxes between the scientists that the telecommunication company used.
No way.
And August had talked to him. So August and I actually had this moment. I didn't know that. And she had tracked that same dude down. And I was like, oh my God, because basically he went in, saw the dangers. And what are those dangers? They're stress responses on a cellular level. So they're increasing free radical damage. They're opening up the blood-brain barrier, allowing for proteins that aren't supposed to be in the brain to be in the brain, specifically albumin. They're lowering testosterone, which is why I was kidding with you, because it's not a joke.
Shout out Chana Swan again. That work,
Yeah.
countdown blew my mind.
Exactly. And then it's lowering testosterone. So it's as if it's a chemical exposure, right? This invisible world that they knew from the history of electrification that these things, if not done right, are harmful, right? And so then when you move into this 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, now 5G, which is switching into a millimeter wave, which is increasing, let's just summarize it and to say that you're adding to the 1, 2, 3, and 4G. You're adding pollution. So if this was smoke, smoke is number one. If you, the 1G, and then 2G, 3G, 4G, it's still here. So it's more and more smoke. It's more and more pollution.
It's not changing. It's actually compounding.
It's now you're adding to it.
This
and now
this and
yes.
this and.
And now with the 5G, you're adding more towers. Like hundreds of compounding interest of towers because they can't travel as far, right? So now you have more towers, you have different millimeter waves, which they haven't studied or they have had indication and they haven't told us.
It's too new, right? We don't have enough longitudinal evidence to kind of...
Yeah. So now you have more of a stress response in your body, and the children scares the shit out of me, right? So they're holding these devices every day, all day. We know that proximity and duration is the killer. So if you take away one thing from this EMF side of this conversation, do not put your cell phone or a tablet or anything up to your head, right? And in the fine print of every cellular phone, they tell you not to do it. Do you know that? Do they announce that?
Absolutely not.
No, because they don't give a shit, right? So that's why we're talking about it. Don't put it up to your damn head. So keep it away. Put it on. Speaker, or there's plug back in. Or you can use air tubes. That again, it's electricity. It can travel through.
What's an air tube?
Air tube it's actually a portion of the earbud. They're not earbuds, but they're plugged in. It's a portion where it's just air. And so sound still travels through it, but the EMFs do not.
Interesting.
So it blocks that from reaching your head.
So basically makes like an acoustic tunnel kind of thing.
And it still works great.
Wow.
And I have sets all over the place.
I got to tell you right now, my wife wanted me, she's like, tell Darin, I've been doing this since we were at the panel with Jen Cohen, kind of talking about some stuff. And she goes, tell Darin that I haven't brought my phone up to my head. I've been using speaker. And I haven't used my AirPods since hearing all this stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah, so she's like on it.
Yeah, and I get it. It's not my, people can do whatever the hell they want. And I love it that people just take that own because they know on some level, like, there's a million people that say, this stuff is not bad for us. It's non-ionizing. And we haven't looked, man. And it doesn't matter. Proximity and duration are showing these stress responses. Look at the data. It's in my endnotes. It's all over it. And it's 1% of the data that's out there, and it's only growing. So we need more studies. We need to be on the side. Telecommunication company clearly have already decided that safety they don't care about, along with every other freaking product that that's the biggest delusion. The biggest delusion is that if we go out and buy things and use things, that we assume they're safe. That's
the companies have done the due diligence, and it's on them.
Well, the FDA wouldn't let that be on the shelf. Guess what? They don't have to prove it's safe. They have zero. They don't have to prove anything. They don't have to prove it's safe. None of it. And with the FCC's guidelines of safety, is only based on this bullshit SAR. It's a SAR reporting. It's only thermal proximity. It's not burning you, so it's fine. So they're not taking into the account the electromagnetic fields. They're not taking into the account frequency.
Wow.
Well, what are we? We're electromagnetic beings. We're frequency generators. What the hell do you think we are? How do you listen to the heart with the EKG? Well, it's because we're electrical, man. So it's all this stuff. It's like, and if people don't want to, if they say something and they don't want to acknowledge it, they don't want to look, hey, then you just fall right into that class of plausible deniability. Well, that's fine. Well, guess what? Your body still has to deal with it. Your mysterious metabolic issues, you're plummeting testosterone, you're increasing endometriosis.
Poor sleep, chronic fatigue.
Poor sleep, all that stuff. And the sleep studies compared to EMFs is crazy, right? People sleeping in a Faraday cage. You can put a little tent, keeps the bugs away, put a Faraday cage, sleep like a freaking baby. Or turn your Wi-Fi. So if people walk away with this, what do? Don't put your cell phone on your body. Don't put it in, women don't put it in your sports bra ever. Guys, don't put it in your pocket when it's on. At the least, put it on airplane mode. Don't put it up to your head. Plug back in. Just minimize stress. That's all it is. Think of it in terms of that. It's stress. It's all over the research. And it's easy to I still have a phone, right? I still have a phone. I'm not saying go live in a tent.
You're not a crazy mountain man in the woods.
I'm a little crazy, but I want to live. I too, listen, I have a first-class side of myself. I want nice things. I want a beautiful house. I too, but I'm not going to sacrifice my life over any of this shit. I'm sitting in clothes. This is how bad it is. Everything except my shoes were made by my good friend Jeff Garner, who we're working on a fast fashion documentary
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're working on a documentary right now. He's mostly working on it. And he made my clothes, right?
Looking good.
So they're all plant dyed. They're all like, and I'm not saying, and this is a first class problem, but I can't buy regular clothes anymore. So I find upcycled stuff, and people give me clothes, and I just let it outside. I don't go crazy, right? But if I'm buying clothes, I'm not buying toxic clothes.
What is it about the clothes that we should be concerned about, or at least is an area of interest enough for somebody to actually look at what they're putting on their body?
I would start with understanding that your clothes, your underwear, that's your first start. It's polyurethane, it's nylon, it's elastane. These are petroleum.
This was a part of the book that blew my mind. You were kind of describing conveniences, which is, of course, of like wrinkle-free, stain-resistant, water-resistant. And I'm like, shit, I'm looking in my closet. I'm like, performance wear, wrinkle-free. It's great because I don't have to, bring an iron when I travel, just pop out. But then I'm reading what I might actually be doing to my body for a convenience of a couple wrinkles.
Yeah. And then you're in the death by yoga pants too, right? It's like, okay, so then so think of it in terms of this. It's plastic, it's petroleum, it's plasticizers, it's hundreds of other chemicals to get that to perform, right? Now you're putting on your skin, which is like, can you imagine putting a plastic water bottle on your body, right? Now go sweat in it. So the heat increases, pores open up, transdermal activity.
We're just taking that in.
Just taking it more in.
We're just absorbing all of that.
So what are those? Probable carcinogens, endocrine disruptors. So now you have, and a little does a lot. Dr. Leo Trisande, big shout out to him. He's a massive researcher in the endocrine disrupting circle. And he really dives into a lot of this stuff. Sicker, Fatter, Poorer is his book.
Yeah.
And they really did show through research that a little bit, and you're thinking about your master glands, you're thinking about your thyroid, your thymus, your testes, your ovaries. these things that are in regulation all the time. Micro changes. Hey, it's a little warmer in here, body changes. Oh, there's a little stress, body changes. Hey, it's a little cold in here, body changes. Hey, my wife yelled at me, there's a little change. Oh, my dog bit me, there's a little change.
Which thank God for, right?
It's incredible. Think about that.
We wouldn't last a week otherwise.
No, we'd be dead. I mean, like the master commander of our body, the pituitary, the pineal, like all of these things, regulating these things in the thyroid. And by the way, my dad's thyroid was toast. And I can get into why that was and all this stuff. But
I want to get into the living for others part.
Yeah.
As well, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a great tag, isn't it? Living for others.
Living for ourselves, but also living for others. Yeah, there's
a level to that. Yeah. But yeah, you don't want to. But so what was I saying?
The master glands.
Yeah, so you've got all these fluctuations happening all the time. So any little exposure. And what are those endocrine disruptors doing? They're mimicking estrogens, right? And so the receptivity of flooding of estrogen also lowers the ability to uptake testosterone for men. It gums up and binds up and mimics the body's thinking that there's extra estrogen.
Causes significant endogenous changes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which is ovarian problems, ovarian cysts, endometriosis. That's a growing, and infertility. Men's infertility, right?
We're at like what, 50% now, I think? Yeah. 50% of this generation is infertile, and it's guys.
Yeah, exactly. We have, the swimmers are not swimming. There's not many of them. The chances are going down.
Fertility's down, counts down, everything's down.
Yeah. So any little exposure, especially added up over time, all the time, that's where the danger is.
So you're saying we should be more focused on how much over time instead of just maybe a little here or a big thing there. You're saying it all matters.
It all matters, but you got to start small.
Mitigating the big risks.
Mitigating this stuff where it's like, yeah, I just blasted people with like, I can't wear my clothes now.
I guess I'm going to a nudist colony.
Yeah. Well, that's, freedom. back to the freedom again. But wouldn't that be nice? Maybe not.
New show?
Yeah. Well, naked and free instead of naked and afraid.
Naked and afraid, naked and free. Woohoo! Darin does naked.
So on that, oh my God, set my brain down.
I want to kind of maybe piggyback off that because another section you talked about in the book that I think goes well with clothing is what we clean our clothes with and all the household cleaners, dishes, cleaning up the counters, air fresheners, dishwashing, laundry detergent. I was so kind of like vindicated in reading this because I've been saying for years that clean doesn't have a smell. Yeah. And I think that is one of the biggest lies we've been told, that in order for our clothes to be fresh, it has to smell like lavender or fields or whatever. Totally. Our counters has to smell like pine trees. Yeah. Can you unpack that for us a little bit? And that's a huge lie as well. Clean is just neutral. Yeah, it's not the chemical smell.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the perfect segue into that's the vision that was told to us through marketing of big corporations.
Clean looks like, clean smells like.
Exactly. And then it comes by generation, right? So that's I smell that shirt. That's what my mom used to smell like, my dad, and so that's what my dad used to smell like. That's not what your dad smelled like. It was the laundry detergent that he was using. So it's all these very deep. These guys play the long game too, right? It's a very long game. So anyway, I'm going to go back because I remember now. So, and then I'm going to jump to what you were saying.
Okay.
The overwhelm I get. People are already overwhelmed listening to this right now. And I understand that. So I just blasted their clothes. Just like you. You go in there going, shit, this is wrinkle free, this is stain free, so is your couch, so is your mattress. So let me overwhelm you a little more. Right? So here's the point. The point is you can't be perfect all in one shot. The journey of life is to become more conscious of our unconscious, be more aware, maybe be more loving, be less angry, be better. Strive every day as what would this day be like being the best day ever? Who can I be? How can I? So the point is, take one thing at a time. And if it resonates with you, going, yeah, start with in terms of clothes, start with your underwear. Get organic, clean. Bamboo, other things you got to be a little careful because they can use a lot of, chemicals in order to get it there. But organic plant diet if you can, but just start with some, a piece of
and you break
underwear.
this down really easily in the book.
Yeah. So there's last third of the book is all solutions. So so don't be overwhelmed. Just take one step. Hell, if you're overwhelmed, get the book. Don't read it, other than just open it up and then read one page.
Ooh, nice touch. I like that. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Just read one. You're going to learn it. Guaranteed.
You're going to land on something.
You're going to land on something. You're going to learn it. And then you're going to go, holy shit, I didn't. Because listen, there's a lot of holy shits in there. It's like, because we're born into this. I never voted on PFAS being in everything. I never voted on them using toxic perk in dry cleaning. And, I never voted on any of this shit. I never voted on if they can use glyphosate all over my,
all my food,
all my food, and then repackage it from 40 different countries where it's unrecognizable to the body and shove it into a cereal container and put a cartoon character on and sell it to my children and put 40% more sugar in than it has for adults and really, and then just this whole thing. So we're in it. So my thing is, you got to face it to change it. Everything in life, you're either going to be a victim to it or you're going to go. It goes back to the first thing I was saying. What do you want your life to be? You want to just exist? Okay, cash it in. Do whatever you want. Doesn't matter to me. I want people like you. I want warriors who are willing to look and dig. And it's not easy. You got to look at yourself.
The choice alone is difficult.
Yeah.
Before you even take action.
I didn't want to write this book. I was compelled to because my dad suffered, because people are suffering, because these stupid ass organizations are not doing its job, because they've somehow decided that profits and power are infinitely more important than the health and safety of humans. And it's just clear. Go look at your next deodorant that you're wanting to buy. Go look at your next laundry detergent. Go look at your next petroleum-based freaking T-shirt. Like, just look. It's like, that's what's going on. Look at the ultra-processed food. Look at the overwhelming amount of people that are dying in the face of things that we can change here in this country, and other countries adopting some weird ass, over-processed world. Just look. Look at life. Look what's going on. They don't give a shit, so we have to give a shit. That's it. There's no other deal. You can go back to sleep and live whatever life you want. That's fine. Or not even go to sleep. Just live, whatever, however you want. For me, I can't turn off awareness. I don't want to go against my knowing.
You can't unknow this.
No, and I couldn't 30 years ago.
Sorry, Dan, 1 second.
Yeah. Dan, do you mind just tugging your shirt? There's like a little perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Got to keep you looking good.
Great, looking good.
I'm going to move to here. What do you say then to, let me back up. I love how you're kind of prefacing the thing by saying, yeah, you can be aware of all this stuff. You can lean into it. You can learn all the things, but then ultimately the choice is yours to what you want to take action on, what you feel you can or should take action on. But I think for a lot of people, the stuff that we're talking about here, I don't know, maybe privilege is the right word, but to take this level of action, to make these sustainable changes, is a level of convenience, is a level of resources, is a level of education, money that a lot of people simply don't have. So they're hearing this or they see something in their day-to-day life that just like literally doesn't feel right with them. Yeah. How can they make these changes? How can they move forward with this knowing?
Yeah. Well, and that's a great point. And there's two ways I'll answer that. Number one, the people that can afford it, make a better choice. Period. Make a better choice so that you say no to other people and other countries making shitty products that are harming the less privileged people, right? And the other is be aware as best that you can of these people that are born. Listen, we have 6,000 food deserts in the United States. Created areas where people have no access to food.
Even if they wanted to.
Even if they want. There's no access to whole food. They have 7-Elevens.
Not Whole Foods, whole food.
Exactly. They have no, there's no farmers markets. There's no, there's ultra processed food, and that's by design, right? And so that further supports. So what I'm saying is people who have means don't buy crap that's hurting you and other people, right? And support. And the second thing you do by saying no, you're saying yes to something great. And so the more we can scale that, right? That's the most important thing. And with the population of people that are suffering, some of these things, a lot of them, man, as you've seen, there's a lot of DIYs that are infinitely cheaper that you can create from Castile soap and make your own laundry detergent.
I love that. Sorry to cut you off, but I'm just saying that's such a huge point in so many sections in your work and in the book especially. It's not this outlandish thing that you have to then go buy or change your entire lifestyle. I think it's a matter of getting people to realize how lazy we have become as a society based on conveniences and luxuries in our day-to-day life. Yes, that make our life easier, more efficient, maybe even save some money. But ultimately, a lot of this stuff is just we've just gotten away from us doing it for ourselves, creating it from naturally occurring resources, or even just a little creativity to connect a couple dots on our own.
Right.
It's really not that outlandish.
Exactly. And you want one of the greatest superfoods in the world for 25 cents, right? Broccoli sprouts. So you buy organic sprouting broccoli seeds. You put those in a mason jar. You put, hopefully, filtered water.
Good water.
Right?
Yeah.
You soak those overnight. You put either a cloth or you can buy a little mesh top. And then you take them out.
So easy.
Right? And then you rinse them twice a day and invert them. And shake it up. But anyway, you rinse them twice a day, you invert that, and in 5 to 6, 7 days, you have a full salad for 25 cents.
25 cents.
And what if you had...
And what, maybe an hour total of your time over the week?
Oh, not even.
Not even,
Takes what, 15 seconds?
Okay.
To rinse and just get another rack.
It's too easy,
and
baby.
you can make you can make 5, 6, 7, 8 for $1. You can make a salad every day for a week.
Now I know they upcharge. I've been buying that at the farmer's market.
I don't do that.
10 to 15
and
bucks.
Then they wrap it. Then again, they wrap it in plastic and all of that stuff. So it's like, no, you can do it yourself. So speaking in terms of food, if you have the ability for any sort of any land that you have at all, or a shelf on your balcony,
do a raised box.
Do something. A barrel. There's some great videos on. You can make a barrel and fill it full of soil.
I have a lettuce grow at home. You familiar with that?
Yes.
The vertical farm.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about that is you're dependent on them, and there's no soil.
Right. Okay.
So you need to fertilize the water and the water circulation.
They have a closed loop business model. That's what that is.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, shout out Jacob. I love you. But
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, but that said, I love them from the standpoint if you can afford it and you can grow your own food and pick it right on your deck.
Something you weren't doing before.
Yeah, and you weren't doing it before. There's another company I just did this shout out to Dirt Locker. They used recyclable, recyclable plastic, super hard so it doesn't leach. Recyclable milk jugs, and they made these terraces so there you can make unusable land.
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh, dude, like I had such a slope on I have a lot of crazy kind of elevation changes, and this one slope. We lit that thing up with everything from lavender to 9 fruit trees. It was unusable. And looks so freaking beautiful. So there's always a way, right? And so grow food. You know, I talk about that in the book too. It's like we started this country with food, and most of us growing food. I know that our population blew up. Clearly, I understand that. But we have stopped growing food. And so if your city block, if everyone grew a bunch of vegetables and fruit, you would have more than enough. Because think in terms of when you follow nature, nature is radically abundant. You know, one seed creates a watermelon with thousands of seeds. How is that possible, right? One pomegranate seed creates a tree and creates 70 pomegranates. And you crack open that pomegranate, 700 seeds. Like, holy cow. Follow nature, ladies and gentlemen. Follow nature. So what
nature leaves clues for success and how to like keep us going.
Yes, man. So, and then let's let the body understand food and recognize food. So there is a way. And I try to do my best to have simple, powerful solutions that most people can implement and just start implementing. You know, filter your water. People ask us all the time, what's the easiest thing? Because 50% of the U.S. population is getting exposed to PFAS in their drinking water, plus herbicides, pesticides, pharmaceuticals. Even DDT is still around, which is crazy. They banned it in 1972, right?
I'm glad you bring this stuff up. Talk to us a little bit. What is your familiarity with chemicals, herbicides, pesticides, mold in the coffee world?
The coffee world.
The coffee world.
Well,
I think this is something. This is a fatal convenience of my own that I've. Here I am sipping on my coffee, organic. I have been blown away looking at how globally unregulated coffee is, because everywhere we get coffee around the world, they have their own regulations for standards. If this is good or bad, but then it goes everywhere else in the world. So what we bring in it's just a wild, wild west of regulations. And when people are looking at coffee, I think drinking water, eating food, and for most people, coffee is the next thing. Right. But what we're putting into our bodies on top of that is mold, fungus, chemicals, herbicides, pesticides, because it's so unregulated unless you're getting organic. Yeah. In your research, have you kind of, I know you're not like a big coffee guy, but have you kind of discovered anything as a common product such as coffee, maybe even teas? Is there a fatal convenience in there?
Yeah, I mean, I think you laid it out. So I've been in the food world and supplement world all over the world.
A minute,
right?
Yeah.
So these things are tricky, right? So when you're looking at a commodity like a coffee, because I've looked extensively at cacao as well, which is a big commodity, and coffee being the number one consumed drink in the world, right? You've got something that happens right away, which is a sad truth is you're getting rid of the fruit of the coffee
berry,
seed, right? So coffee berry and coffee fruit.
Cascara, right? I think it's called.
Yeah, can be, yeah. But the coffee fruit, I've seen this in action. It's discarded and it ferments. And then you've got to wash, you've got to dry, and it's got to have a certain kill step.
What's that?
A kill step is, somewhere in the process of a food or a supplement or a botanical, you have to have a place in there, especially if you're going to export it or anything. Like if you're in the village somewhere, there's no kill stuff. But you have to, for a certain period of time and temperature, it's got to hit, usually under not even GMP. That's just good manufacturing practices. This is around HACCP certifications and stuff. But it's just a protocol that should be in place because you could kill somebody. And that is a certain period of time and duration. Well, duration, time of that at a certain temperature will kill bacteria and mold.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
But at the same time, that can change molecules and compounds. Right, so you're always in this fight between what's the kill step, and is that kill step, is it going to get rid of the molds, bacteria, fungus, etc., efficient enough, and can I then preserve the compounds that I actually want? Which is why coffee fruit could never really survive unless you have a process, and there's a great company, overarching company. They're a B2B company called Futureceuticals, and I know them very well. They're out of and they
what's the guy's name? The founder there,
Van Drunen.
Yeah.
And shout out to PJ.
Very, very progressive.
Oh yeah. These guys are creating and been innovating forever, and they brought coffee fruit to the market. Meaning that they figured out how to dry and preserve the bean, the seed that is coffee, the coffee bean, which is technically a seed, the seed and the coffee fruit together. And the irony is that the seed or the bean and the fruit together is infinitely greater than the bean itself.
How so?
That it turns on a very powerful BDNF property, brain-derived neurotropic factor. And they clinically proved it. They were the only ones doing it. I was in Veracruz, Mexico, watching the process. Wow. And so now I start to see it. It's Adam from Strong Coffee. I know that's got it in it. Yeah, so I know that they have it in some of their stuff. I know that.
See, you guys, it's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best. I've been telling them for years.
Yeah. So hats off. I mean, they've been pushing this out. I was trying to get it in a bunch of the products I was way back when. We actually did get it into one of the versions of Shakeology.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and I mean, this is years and years ago. So it's so powerful, and I'm glad that people are actually Organifi also has one that they threw it in there. I saw. I keep my eyes out for to watch this stuff to see like, oh, finally, it's like because I've known suppliers in countries for so long. But anyway, I digress. But that's so when you're looking at coffee, that commodity, it's and by the way, people are passing off certificates of analysis, organic certifications all the time, just because they're saying in some country that it's organic.
Is this the whole greenwashing world?
It's not the green. It's not even
like hyping up all the things that we do.
It's not even greenwashing in a sense. It's just lying.
Really?
Or they don't even know, and it's happening from where they're getting it, and they're just going, well, it's not organic, but we're just going to slide in this conventional and sell it back to them. So if the receiving company is not doing their due diligence in testing, then they're going to have problems. They're going to have molds. How
realistic is that then for companies? Because I would think like you either got to have a shit ton of financial backing to really go from start to end, from origin to end product, to know all of these things and to put these protocols in place. Like, can we ever win? Can there ever be a sustainable business around this?
Yeah, it's tough, and it takes a lot of money. I mean, Beachbody, which is now Body, we testing millions of dollars a year. Every batch had
millions of dollars
Yeah.
a year
1,500
just on tests.
1,500 tests per batch.
Wow.
1,500
Wow.
plus.
Hats off, man. Wow.
So no one really knows the quality control that we had in place. And it's like, and I kind of was like, I was always kind of secretively bummed that we never really told that story adequately enough, because we were so powerful.
You just think what, maybe people didn't care as much then?
I don't know. We just, it's not a sexy story, because again, people assume their competing product is just as good because it's got the same shit in it. But it's like, you probably have some shit in it.
Literally.
Right. And so I've seen crazy stuff. I saw where all the greens powders were coming from.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen in a processing facility like that?
Gosh. One of the craziest one was this. Yeah, I'll use the greens powders as an example just because I was thinking about it. So all these greens powders were there, and there's this open vat where it kind of got to some sort of drying process. And I look up and there's birds. And I was like, no way.
Inside?
Yeah, inside the building.
Shit.
And I'm like going, that's like, how is that possible? Like, of course it's going to shit in there eventually. And it's like, how is that possible? And I was like going, and I'm in the facility and I'm seeing boxes of where they're going.
So you're just watching this all happen?
Yeah. I'm just like going, oh my God, that is crazy.
So then there's got to be like a minimum level of acceptable shit.
Yeah.
That these facilities are able
it's
to...
like they accept a level of pus in milk, a level of fecal matter in meat. Like, dude, all of this stuff exists. So that's the thing. You're not reading the fine print in all of this stuff. You're not reading the fine print in fragrances. You're not reading the fine print in natural flavors. You're not reading the fine print. You don't know. That's why this world that we want to pretend is fine is not. And I'm sorry. Don't kill the messenger. Like, I've seen too much. I know too much, and I don't even know the half of it, because there's experts in every one of these fields. Every chemical there's experts in who know infinitely more than me, and that's the beauty of constantly learning and constantly kind of diving in. And if I can be a megaphone and some of this stuff, but ultimately what I want to get to is solutions for this shit. Like, I want to get to, if they're not going to do it, we can do it. We have the numbers. We have the billions, right? We have humanity. A mom doesn't knowingly want to cause harm to their child. They don't want. Yeah, they don't want to cause harm. So if we wake up like, hey, don't put that disposable diaper on your children. If you can save up a little money, buy 3 organic diapers and just wash them. You can do it. You can do it. Maybe it's a little more of a pain in the ass. Maybe. But it's not infecting your child with fragrances and petroleum and things that are touching their genitalia and are harming them.
From day one.
And, they were already being infected by what the mother was doing. This is just the world
the
we
grandmother
live in.
Even.
Yes. Yeah. We're seeing, and that's where we're seeing the epidemiological look at this stuff. Like, so we're saying, oh, it's just a little bit. But this little bit is having monstrative effect on our expression of our lives.
Yeah.
And at the very fabric of our damn life is being undercut by this stuff. So I want to get and I want to celebrate life. So I can sit here knowing that I am not being infected by chemicals in my clothes. I drove here. I had filtered water. I remineralized it. And I have a glass bottle. So it's integration.
Mm-hmm.
It's more integration. Having conversations like this, connecting with you, a fellow brother who's committed to health and getting messages out. This is what we
And
need.
sharing the word, absolutely.
Yeah, this is what we need to do. And the more people that know, the more you have then agency over change. Because if you don't know, you don't know, and then you can't do anything. But at least let's lay this out. So then you can have an informed choice.
And it takes a lot of that overwhelm and uncertainty and anxiety off of our shoulders, because we can't unknow this, but what we can do is make a change or a lot of changes like you're talking about, but more importantly, share information with others so that maybe, hopefully, they also have this new knowing. And then only through the power of all of us together can we actually make these changes, look out for our well-being, but for others, which is another question I want to get to before the end here. If not for our own lives, we should care for the lives of our loved ones. And I think it's a unique human trait, an odd one, where we will not take care of ourselves or not take as good a care of ourselves until we have a reason from someone else, like until we have a kid or until we have a partner or until somebody else is in our life on a regular basis. What do you think it is about for other people that finally gets us to take care of ourselves as a secondary effect of taking care of them first? And how can we do that long term?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's I actually was having a similar conversation, like when we were talking about tragedy. Tragedy comes and Maui comes and like the things burn down and 9/11 and those things, people come together and then they go back and they forget about
You
it.
losing your home 5 years ago.
I
Malibu
losing
fires,
all my
yeah.
friends. You know, the number one thing that was the most obvious for me is my friendships. Because the people that I cared about reached out and they were there for me. They were like, hey, we've got clothes for you. I've got a place for you. I've got food for you.
Basic human needs.
Yeah, it's just like.
And
God,
that they cared.
Like those were my first tears. Not that I lost everything. That, and I wasn't talking to my ex-wife at the time. We were going through, our gnarly divorce. And she reached out, let go of everything and said, I'm here for you.
Wow.
That kind of stuff. So the human connection, the fabric of all of that, the necessity that is, that we get out of this over-obsessed, egomaniacal, narcissistic kind of culture that it's just about me. But I saw this quote the other day, and I don't remember the full quote, but the gist of it is being in a partnership with someone is caring as much about their happiness as your own. As much, not more, not sacrificing yourself, not all of that stuff, but caring as much. That changed a lot for me, just in like close relationships. And so we got to get out of this idea that, number one, you're going to find people that are going to check all the boxes and all. No, life is a garden. What are you watering? Are you watering?
Like
yeah, it's like, what are you watering? Are you watering your crazy mind, your fearful mind of everything? It's like, well, you're going to grow a hell of a tree of fear, right? Or are you going to be understanding of this incredible opportunity that we have in our own consciousness to go, what do I want? We're going full circle here. What do I want? What do I want my life to be? And what do I want to water? Do I want to water my life? Meaning, do I want to pay for products that are undercutting my health? No, I don't want to believe in what Darin's saying. Don't. Do whatever you want. Like, read some studies, inform yourself, or not. It doesn't matter. Unless it matters to you.
Oof, yeah.
Right? So what are you watering? And that goes down to the thoughts in your damn head. Right? If I look at, what's going on in the world, and I'm like, life's fucked up. Or I just switch over here, and I've just been inspired by this conversation. I just with you, and I just talked to someone on the drive down who's building some incredible new technologies that I get to be involved. Like, no, it's not. There might be pillars of destruction, but there's opportunity of building a new world. Yeah. And so where do I want to water? And this is a constant. This is a day-to-day, this is a moment-to-moment deal. Because I can turn into fear right now. And I can worry, and I can, of course, I have it too. But the attention, how long is that? Am I going to let that? How long am I going to feed that?
Fear is the easy choice, right?
It's so easy. And it's a great, I mean, you could end this book, the greatest fatal convenience is fear and anger. Because it's so fucking easy. And this world actually supports it.
Easily spreads too.
And easily spreads. Look at social media.
Way more easy to get everybody on board to a fear, something wrapped around fear, than it is to like, hey, what if we just chose to look at it differently? What if we chose to make a change, or chose love, or chose to find a positive aspect? What if we chose a way to work through this instead of just blasting all that it's doing wrong?
Totally. And that's part of the struggle that I had with the book is like, it really affects me when people say you're fear-mongering. Well, that you haven't looked at the book and you haven't understood. You haven't read the book. You haven't read where this came from.
You're not the guy in the corner with the megaphone yelling, we're all going to burn in hell for our sins of, Wi-Fi and plastics. No, you're presenting information that is all out there.
Yeah.
You just chose to not live out of fear. You chose, hey, what if I just compiled this information? What if I brought this to the people so that hopefully we can make a better choice?
Yeah. I saw my dad suffer. I don't want other people to suffer. I don't want to suffer. And regardless of your belief, you're suffering right now from all of these things. You are. To varying degrees, of course you are. So, again, like, if you understood me, it's like everything. We don't know where people are coming from. We don't know who people are, but we judge so fast. I do too, of course. And you just gotta like check yourself before you wreck yourself, right?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Well, Darin, I want to ask you the final question here. And it's been, I think, 2, if not 3 years, I think, since the first time you were on. It's always good to see you, by the way.
Man.
Thank you again for coming back. Congratulations on the new work. And you and I have so much in common, I think, in why we do what we do, stemming from suffering of a family member that ultimately we kind of took on, but we have channeled it into ways, hopefully, for other people to not have to suffer as much so that we can move forward in life when these obstacles are present. So now, for the second time, ever forward, when you hear that, man, with your mission right now, what does that mean to you?
If you're not ever forward, you're ever backwards. Like, it's just like that. That's the thing. It's like, I think it's like what we're talking about. Ever forward to me means that I'm not being a victim. I'm facing the challenges that are here, that will come, that are supposed to come, and extracting the opportunity. Just like a good tea, you got to put it in hot water in order to extract the compounds.
Oh, man. That's so good. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a new one on me. That's so good.
Yeah. So,
and I'm a coffee guy.
yeah. Well, you have to soak the beans.
Yeah. Oh, I love that analogy, man.
Yeah. So it's like, that's when you understand that that's life, then you move forward because it's not happening to you. The propeller of this duality, of this existence that we get to be in, is propelled through that tension, through that hot water that eventually we will be touching. And then we get to learn something about ourselves. Then we get the opportunity, like you said, instead of us being a victim of our circumstances and our fathers and things like that, we get to learn, grow, and then use the legacy as an opportunity and then pay that forward. And who better but to shine down with a smile on us and go, and I know they're both saying thank you.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And hopefully, our tea bags are microplastic free, BPA
100%.
free, maybe.
That is a problem.
Not to dissect your analogy
That's
too much.
That's a problem, man.
Yeah.
Loose tea,
oh, yeah.
it's
huge.
Why they won't break
Yeah.
is because they're plastic.
Christian Gonzalez, Dr. G, he unpacked that for me in an episode, I think like a year or two ago. Are you familiar with? Oh my God, I will never look at tea the same way again.
No. I asked for tea on a plane or something, and I go, don't put it in there, and then I just rip it open, put the loose leaf in there. And of course, they have to give like I said, do you have a ceramic cup, or else I won't have any.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody looks at me when I do that on a plane. I'm like, no, that's why I'm drinking out of this, the ceramic. I do that on the same thing with a plane too. Yeah. Anywhere I go to get a coffee.
It's all those little things, man. It's all those little things.
Yeah, well, here's to being weirdos.
Man.
For making choices like that.
Sure.
Darin, Fatal Conveniences out now. Everybody can go get it, but where can they connect with you right now to learn more about your mission, what you got going on?
Yeah, you can sign up for my newsletter. I'm spitting out a bunch of cool stuff. DarinOlien.com, Darin Olien on all social. Yeah, we're getting ready to do some bigger and bigger stuff.
You got some really cool projects coming out. Can't wait to see it, and to watch it, to read it, to support it in any way possible.